Okay, so we're ready. First we have a spacer here, so we're gonna take off the spacer. Go ahead, let's start this job. Okay, here goes nothing. Easy on the car. Alright, so we got the bolts off. This one little guy wants to strip, so we're gonna take it easy with that one. So we got this guy off. What we're gonna do is we're missing a screw here, so we're gonna take that one off right there, and the rotor should come off. Okay, so this guy is not gonna come on. What you do is you bring the screw over here, you tap in the back. We already tapped it, so give it a good tapping. That's gonna break the tightness on this bolt, and it's gonna come out like a butter. There you go. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna clean this guy right here, all the surface here. We're gonna clean over here a little bit and make it nice and clean so there's no dirt, debris, rust that can make the disc sit crooked and cause pulsation in the brake pedal. So he's gonna take his time, clean this and this area right here, and then we will continue. Okay, this looks good. What we're gonna do is we're gonna put a little bit of coating of a greasing, just a tiny bit all over it. On the surface all over here. What that's gonna do is it's gonna let your rotor sit flush, nice and good. That looks good. So he's gonna finish out the job there, and then we're gonna get a new disc and we're gonna clean up the disc. It's not done. There you go, it looks perfect. Long as you clean the surface, grease it up, your rotor sits flush, you shouldn't have any pulsation. So there's our new disc. It says right on it, and the slots are going to be facing that direction. That's going to give you good performance on the brake. But this does have coating on it, so what we're going to do is we're going to clean it up with the brake parts cleaner. Let's take it to the side. So clean, flag, and a brake parts cleaner, and just clean out all the oil, the grease they put on it to prevent rust. Go. Looks real nice. The procedure for the opposite side is the same, so we should be good. Okay, now we're gonna put the disc on. All you're gonna do is align the two holes, the one with the groove right there with the holes on the disc. So that way you can put the screws right through. Okay, now that, yeah, twist it. Perfect. And we're gonna put two new screws. We have new screws. So this is something you can pick up from the dealer. And all you need is a screwdriver, Phillips head screwdriver. Put a little bit of greasing on it. If you want to put anti-seize, it's all up to you. And what we're gonna do is 2 screws in. And this is going to hold your disc perfect on the spot. Bada bing, bada boom. Next, we're going to bring in the bracket. Okay, so we got our hardware here. What we're going to do is let a tiny bit grease on the surface where it's going to sit at. Just a tiny bit greasing is going to prevent any type of squeak, squeal. Even if you have a squeak, squeal, but this will do the job the right way and prevent it. And then we're going to put the hardware in, stick it right in there, make sure it's nice and flush. Perfect. And then we're going to take this and mount it on to the spindle here. So it's going to be a bolt here and a bolt there, and that's these 17 millimeters right here. Okay, now we got the two 19 millimeters. We're going to get both of these on. After that, make sure you tighten it nice and tight. You can torque it to 79.9 foot-pound. And we're gonna come right back once this is all tight, both of these bolts. All right, we got everything tight. At this point, you can spin the disc. If it doesn't scrape or make any noise, you're good. If it does make noise, you might have the hardware shims touching. So, our next step, we're gonna take out our brake pads and install the brake pads. Brembo brakes here, and you do have brake pads with the brake wear indicators. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna install the one on the inside, one on the outside. The one on the inside has the sensor on it. So let's put that on. Right now we're just fitting it in there to see if the brake pad sits in there flush. If it doesn't, we might have to file just a tiny bit of paint off the edges of the brake pad. A little tight. A little bit tight. Let's try the front. Let's try the outside one. A little bit tight also. We don't want the pad to be tight because once it goes in, it's gonna grab it. So we're gonna file it just a tiny bit. Okay. Just the edge, the tip of these brake pads on the sides a little bit, just a tiny bit. Sometimes that paint makes a difference. That looks good. You just do one side and try, or you do both. Let's try it with one. Try. There you go. You see how easy that brake pad go on? real smooth. That's how it should be. So we're gonna put a tip of a grease right on the bottom edge. You can put a little bit on the outer edges on both sides, wherever it's gonna slide on that slider right there. And that's about it. And then once you get the brake pad in there, you leave it in there. Bada bing, bada boom. Do the same thing for the inside brake pad. Once we have that completed, we will put the caliper on. That's it. So he's gonna do the same thing for the other inside brake pad, and then we'll continue with the brake pad, our caliper. All right, we got both brake pads in. Usually I grease this area, but we're not gonna grease this because it got special padding there. We're gonna leave that alone. And one more thing, your piston should be straight aligned here because this does have like a little groove on the inner brake pad. All right, so let's put the E cable in. It's gonna be a bolt right there on the E cable, and the bracket on the caliper. You can tighten up that last and reach it with the extension, but just try to get it on just like that if you're doing the same thing. Now the caliper is ready to go on. One thing I want to show you is, see these slider pins? If you want to grease them, you can grease them. We do have a silicone grease over here, but ours look pretty good, so we're not going to touch it. So this is the greasing right there. There you go. We got 2 bolts. And these, I'm going to give you the torque spec on these. And we're going to get them both in there, and we're going to torque them. And then we're gonna come right back. You should be doing the same thing. If you want to hand tighten, it's all up to you, or you could torque it. But anyways, and then we're gonna replace the stainless steel brake line, and after that we're gonna bleed it. Put the caliper on. Make sure you get these 2 little retainers here. They work like a spring, and that helps the brake pad to come off when the brake is not engaged. There's 2 of them. And that is going to disturb the pad from sitting properly, so you're going to have to hold it with both hands. And get the caliper on. And then put the bolts on. Both of these bolts are torqued. And the torque spec on these are 16 foot-pound. So both of these are 16 foot-pound. Now what we got left behind is the number 12 bolt right through the center. In the back, that's holding the E cable, and there's another one we took off from back there. So there's 2 lines left, and after that we're gonna put the stainless steel lines. That's these right here. That's what we're looking at. Okay, so we got our stainless steel line, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove our tool that was holding brake fluid from coming down, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna stick this in. We're gonna catch all the threadings we can. And at the end we're gonna remove the old line. Put a wrench, open-end wrench in the bottom, and on the top we're gonna tighten it with the number 10 brake line wrench. That's what we're using right there. Make sure it's nice and tight. And that's it. You don't want to crunch it too much either. It's perfect. And then this retainer goes in the bottom. That's gonna hold the brake line in the perfect spot. Sometimes you have to tap it. So we got this little guy that you can move this around anywhere you like and lock it up right there where it belongs. We're gonna take this guy off right here. It's gonna have fluid come out. And what we're gonna do is, you're gonna have these new washers, crush washers, and a new bolt. So one goes on top, one goes on the bottom, so make sure you sandwich it just the way it's supposed to be, so it seal up really good. Only difference on this line and that line is the end point right there. And that's about it. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna hand tighten it a little bit, snug it, and then we'll torque it. Put it to 26 foot-pound, and then at the end, make sure you put on the last bolt and make sure you angle everything properly. The line doesn't hit anywhere. Alright, so we're all done. He's just gonna clean it up a little bit, but there you go. Stainless steel line is in there. We still need to bleed it. That's the part you're not gonna see. So make sure you bleed it really good. But we're gonna complete the other side, and then we're gonna do it all together. And there you have it.